Okay, so this is part two of the relationship between blocks and flow. So I'm talking about specifically when I studied with the Shakespeare teacher Rodenberg, and part of her teaching became the third circle. I'm not going to get into it because she explains it so much better, so you can always go to her thing, and her workshops are worldwide. She's this British teacher, this UK teacher who talks, teaches Shakespeare. She's worked with the RSC. She's worked with, I think the Globe. I'm not sure about that one, but definitely the RSC. And she's a voice teacher, but she's like a voice and Shakespeare teacher. And so she talks about, like, her books are like Speaking Shakespeare, The Actor's Voice. I might be butchering those titles. But Patsy Rodenberg, amazing teacher. One of the best experiences. And so she talks about this third circle, which is going back to the act of presence. That you cannot, in fact, act Shakespeare without being fully present in the moment. And that, and this has been my experience as well. And if you want to know a little bit about like what I think about like the relationship between being blocked as an artist and the relationship to flow, please go back to video 1. I talk about Stephen Kotler's work of flow, which was based off a Hungarian psychologist, whom I will not butcher his name, so you can look him up. Hungarian psychologist that spoke about flow. But at the center of flow is presence. That you cannot do any creative act without this central component of being fully present in the moment. And every great artist, every great whatever, has this element of presence. And what many people talk about, like in terms of like, what is that Israeli actress that played, I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, and I don't want to butcher it. So that actress, people say that she's not a good actress. I saw somebody else break down that she had so much presence that people hired her off her presence. And that's the thing. Presence can get you hired. Of course, you need to know what to do once you get hired, right? Which is what, knowing your craft is all about. It isn't just about, saying lines. And I'm not saying that this actress does. I haven't seen enough of her work to make a commentary like that. But presence can actually get you quite far. But if you do not have presence and you have craft, you can have a career. You just won't have. You'll be a blocked artist. All those stories, and I have a lot of them from theater, comes from actors and artists. I have a lot of them, actually. There was this one story, and I don't remember who the actor was, that literally, one of the directors said, this person needed to be poured into her costume every night because she would freak out before hitting the stage. But once she hit the stage, she was fine. It was all those moments before, right? Because it was this moment of deep of all the fears coming up, which they do. You just you have to know how to compartmentalize fears so that you can so all that stuff goes away. Because if you carry those fears onto the stage or onto the page, you will never reach the heights that you might want to. Because a central part of it is flow. You get all this extraneous, it's a funny thing, and you have to study consciousness to understand like how crazy flow is, because it's like literally, it is like a download of information about your work, about your craft, about things that you're doing that you will never get if you are actively blocking yourself. And I'm saying specifically, look at your fears. Yes, look at, the fear of being seen, of the fear, because like I feel like with a lot of artists, there is simultaneously this need to be seen, but also this fear of being seen, which is why like a lot of Hollywood people tend to wear masks, because like they can't be their authentic self. And authenticity is just showing up as who you are in every moment, right? And accepting your flaws and all of that. And so sometimes people don't know how to handle that, and large audiences can be quite disorienting for your central nervous system. And so people need to wear a mask, right? Or you are in your character and you feel safe within the walls of your character. But I do also feel like part of artistry is kind of a letting go of masks. And that is also a part of presence, right? Like being this authentic, creative self and reaching into the very bowels of your humanity to write, into the very bowels of like your experience. It's like a melding of like character and what you bring to the table, you as the artist. It is why we watch Shakespeare. Ugh, my ear. It is why we watch Shakespeare, right? Again and again and again. We go to see Shakespeare time in memoriam to see a different version of Hamlet, because each version of Hamlet brings something to the table, right? Each artist brings something to the table that previous ones have not. Anyway, so check out The Third Circle if you want, from Patsy Rodenberg. Check out Stephen Kotler's work on flow. But ultimately it really is like, look at how, like, what the processes of your own practice are, because that might be where you're blocking yourself. Anyway, I hope you're having fun in your creative processes, and enjoy it. Bye.